Hello everyone and welcome to my take on the XP system. Before we get into the video, I do have something rather fantastic to share with you however. Amino is an app that's been around for quite some time, allowing users to create their own communities and discuss with like-minded people. Recently, they've just launched their own Rust community. As you can see, there is a newsfeed full of interesting topics. I was rather flattered to find out that my own video, Rust Has Changed, has already been posted there. You have to admire their taste. Let's really get this community alive, chaps. It's a fantastic place to discuss ideas about Rust with like-minded people. I mean, hell, you can even make your own community if you want. It's available on iOS and Android. Simply search for the default Amino app and join the Rust community to get in on the debate. Come on over and give LOLOUT a follow. Links are in description if you're too bloody lazy to search. Please do let the developers know where you've come from. Hopefully see you over there. Anyway, into the XP system. What a huge update it was. Now chaps, for the past week I've been in Budapest, Hungary having a wonderful time, so I got back and had to adjust with the new Rust. Everyone has been asking me what do I think of the new spear throwing mechanics, and so I'm going to discuss that briefly. The long and short of it is, I really don't like them. And I don't want people thinking I'm biased or whatever, but I've asked quite a few of my subscribers, people I play with, what do they think about the new spear throwing, and they all seem to have the same answer. It just doesn't feel right. And yes, I do know that the update changed all the melee throwing mechanics, but the spear was king. It did an awful lot of damage and was terribly effective when used right. The new way to me just feels a bit too clunky. Why have two mouse buttons when everything was fine just with the one? I put it to you that throwing the spear with a simple right mouse click was far more intuitive than the current two-click system we have now. And what it also meant was you could do it on the fly. If someone suddenly appeared in front of you, you could quickly deliver a spear throw to their face, whereas now I know it's not a ludicrously long amount of time for you to throw, but it's still a lot more to take into consideration when times are tight. I should be showing on the screen at some point some old spear throwing for comparison. And I remember reading in a dev blog a while ago they wanted to make the melee throwing feel a lot more like the bow. And I understand to a certain extent why they wanted to do this, because the bow feels great. It's easy to gauge distances, you can get a good zoom in on your target. But when you're using a spear, you don't need a zoom in on your target. You're not trying to pick someone off from 400 yards away. You're trying to quickly deliver a sharp blow that's going to deal with the opposition. And that, to me, has been completely lost. I'm not saying it's much harder, and then again I'm not saying it's much easier. To me, it seemed like, just why? Why the change with the spear? Was it necessary? Because I personally don't believe it is. Now a lot of people, I'm sure, will now be thinking, come on LOLOUT, for fuck's sake, stop focusing on the spear. There were all sorts of problems with melee weapons. For example, if you were using your hatchet on a tree and you accidentally throw it and it disappears into a rock and it's gone forever, that was bloody annoying. Now, I understand that totally and I respect that opinion. Losing your hatchet because you accidentally pressed the right mouse button was annoying. So why not then just have tools like the hatchet and the pickaxe have the zoom in throw for precaution, and keep the default mechanic for the spears and things like swords that you might want to throw in a fight in a very, quick pinch. I mean, I was pretty good with the spear as it was, but I'm sure you'd have seen on screen already, I just can't really get a good feel for this one yet. And obviously, with practice comes perfection, and I understand that, eventually I'll get the grip. But before, you pointed the tip of your spear towards your target. You got a good gauge of where this thing was going to be thrown. Okay? Now you lift it over your head and it's much harder to get a concept of where this thing is going to land, which direction it's going to go, and granted, it looks fantastic, when you lift this thing above your head, it's like, yeah, I'm about to throw this weapon. But it's just so much harder to get a good concept of where to throw it. Maybe give players the option to stick with the original or to employ this new mechanic, but I know I'm not just speaking for myself here. It doesn't feel right yet, and I hope they do fix that. All is not doom and gloom, however. Can I just say that the new UI on Rust looks utterly gorgeous. When I first played the game, I wanted it to look something like this. I think the new art style for the health bar, for the writing, for the fonts, the little details of animation when you pop up a text window, that's fantastic, and the optimization they've done there I think really suits the game. It's got that minimalist, beautiful kind of fluid feel to it, and I couldn't agree more, that is fantastic. Also, the new motion blur, I've got quite a few people saying, oh, I'm not too sure about this, blah blah blah. But personally, I think it's rather lovely. I've seen motion blur been done really, really badly on many a game over my time, but I don't think this is one of those cases at all. I didn't go straight for the options to try and disable it. I think it really does highlight the game's assets, its already built-in beauty, and make the whole thing look more fluid, which I think is a good direction for the art of the game to go. Now, as far as the XP system goes, this is a controversial topic to be talking about. Obviously, having been on holiday, I didn't get the initial launch XP buzz that everyone else kind of had. So when I got back, one of the first things I did was contact a few of my friends and ask them how they felt the integration to this new system was. Let's just say I got very mixed reviews. However, the general consensus seemed to be, yeah, it's okay, but right now it's pretty broken and needs a bit of work. I heard tales that when the update initially came out, people pretty much straight away found all these exploits for just farming XP upon XP and getting up ridiculously high levels. Now that's cool, finding exploits, and obviously the developers are going to need time to fix this on such a monumentous update. And again, I'm not quite sure when this is all happening or if it's already happened. People told me there were a few sudden updates and patches released pretty much immediately after the servers all wiped, and then other people were telling me that no, the patches are going to happen next week or tomorrow or all over the place really, it just depended on the person. This one chap I was speaking to, and I don't know if he wants his name disclosed to the whole rabble, so I'll call him anonymous for now, told me that he was a level 50. And he went to sleep, and he came back on, and he was a level 70. Now, pardon me if I'm wrong, but when I'm sleeping I don't usually gain experience. I dream about croquet and golf and boating and aged scotch. I don't gain experience as I'm sleeping, I don't learn anything new, I'm just resting. But again, this is all balancing stuff, and I'm sure it'll be sorted out, if it is so required. But now on to my own personal experience with this system. Now, I'm sure some of you are going to disagree, and that's absolutely fine. But this is just my opinion, and so I'm going to voice it, because last time, it actually got someone to listen. The very concept and the very fundamentals of this system initially did appeal to me. I thought, wow, this will be a good chance for Rust to really change. I had visions of clans becoming less prominent and less nasty because they did have to do the hard work themselves. If they wanted a rocket launcher, if they wanted all the good guns, they'd have to work their asses off and really try and get them, really strive for it. And what we've ended up with is kind of a hybrid to this. The grinding in the game has now become monumental. It has suddenly become of monumentous importance for people to do grinding and hit endless trees, hit endless rocks, and do the manual work that a lot of people skimped out on previously. Now, that's all well and good. That's fine. People should work, that's good. But, if I so wanted to, chaps, I could make a small cabin somewhere. Far away from a monument, far away from anywhere where I'm going to get disturbed. I could gradually hack down tree after tree after tree, rock after rock, spend a lot of time doing this, and before I know what's happened, I can make completely end-game guns. I can make the biggest, best guns in Rust. I don't have to raid to get these guns anymore, I don't have to go and scavenge for blueprints. I can do it all from the comfort of my woods, in my own way. And to some extent, that's fantastic. But on others, it really does limit the game. Why go to rad towns? Why see all these wonderful monuments that the Rust developers have worked tirelessly to produce for us? If I can have everything by simply doing manual labor, which you can currently, where does the motive go for players to go out and explore these places? I think there still needs to be some sort of blueprint in this game, whether it be just for weapons or just for armor. I think there needs to be some blueprint, some reason to really go out and strive for it. Because as it is right now, the clans can still succeed. They can still be huge. But the problem is, you can't get them early. As soon as they get these levels up and they're clanning up, as soon as they get to the point where they have thousands of XP to spare and they've learned everything they can, they're going to kill you. Whereas before, they'd be out in these places, scouting for blueprints, and you could get lucky. You could sneak up behind one and dome him in the head and get his stuff, and that was good. That was good fun. But now there's no incentive for them to go out. You can't nab them before they get huge. So I personally don't think this update has addressed the clan issues I mentioned in my previous video whatsoever. I find myself joining a server, let's say 2 days after wipe, right, so very recently, and clans are everywhere. I have no chance. They're everywhere you look, trying to shoot you in the back of the head. You could be just knocking up a tree, because now of course grinding is so important you can't not, and you're dead before you even know what's happened. Clans can now, if they want to, share tools, so while some of them are offline, they can be using the tools and getting 50 for themselves and 50 for the person who's offline. So when he comes back on, bang, he's got a big old bump of experience. He can spend that wherever he wants. Maybe he's going to research the guns while the other guy researches the traps, or... Do you get my point? It just seems like they haven't really addressed the primary issues with clans, in my opinion. I talked to a few people who play on my own server, the LOLOUT one, about, their opinions with the XP system, because I'd noticed they hadn't been online for quite some time. And they said, Jacob, we've finished now. We've got everything we can, the server's pretty boring now. Because, of course, if you die, and you already know how to make everything, there's no real challenge, is there? Because you can just make it all again. Whereas before, I'd find myself being, as they go on the top of a server. I had a big base, a lot of guns, but I wouldn't know how to make all these guns. I might not know how to make a certain bullet for this gun. And so that would have me constantly striving for more and more, constantly having me going out of my base and looting other people's bases and trying to go to rad towns, because that's the only way I could get security. Whereas now, I can have security permanently. If I die, who really cares? I can make everything anyway. And the icing on the cake for me, chaps, the icing on this bittersweet cake of pure XP mongering tomfuckery, is that even if I was raided, even if someone spent the time blowing into my base, stealing all my stuff, taking my tools, they will use those tools, and I will get experience for that. Being raided shouldn't be good. There should be no positive from this. It should be a bad thing through and through. Whereas now, I can make every fucking thing in the game anyway, and they're using my tools, so when I log on, oh no, I've been raided. What am I going to do? I can still make everything under God's green earth, and I've gained a shit ton of experience because they're all using my bloody tools. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand why they're doing this. It's just so bloody easy now. It's just so easy. It's easy to complete a server. It's easy to get where you need to be if you just put the time in. It's easy, and once you've done that, the server's dead to you. You've done everything. You've reached the pinnacle. There's no reason to return. You dedicate time into this thing, and then just suddenly it's just, oh okay, I've reached the very tippy top now. There has to be, in a game like this, right in its intrinsic fundamentals, an idea that even the biggest, baddest motherfucker on the whole server can get ruined, destroyed, shrunken into a tiny little ball of ashes and failure by someone who has nothing that he has. Someone much smaller than himself who's taken time to plan, taken time to think about what he's going to do, develop tactics. That's what makes this game good. The small guy can beat the big guy, but now when the big guy dies, who gives a care because he's still the big guy? The little guy might get some loot, but he's still little. And this guy stays on the top. Sorry, I just really did have to get that off my chest. I know a lot of people agree with me, and I know I'll get a lot of hate on this video because a lot of people think the XP system is wonderful, and to an extent, I understand why. It is good, it's nice, and it's clean. and I'm sure it does have potential to be fantastic. But as of right now, I don't know, it just does not feel right. Take care, guys. Stay coy.